You are listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Please make sure you have smashed that like button and subscribe to our channel for new story. Story title, The Little Mermaid. A long time ago, in a magnificent underwater kingdom, there lived the mer people. These magical beings had bodies like humans, but instead of legs, they had long, shimmering fishtails. Their home was a wondrous place filled with colorful coral reefs, schools of fish, and sparkling underwater palaces. The king of the mer people had 6 beautiful daughters, each more lovely than the last. The youngest, known as the Little Mermaid, was the most enchanting of them all. Her beauty was matched only by her extraordinary singing voice. When she sang, all of the undersea creatures would stop to listen, captivated by her melodious tones. Mermaids were not allowed to visit the surface of the ocean until they turned 15. The Little Mermaid eagerly awaited her 15th birthday, listening intently as each of her older sisters returned from their first trip to the surface with tales of the human world. They spoke of enormous ships battling mighty storms, children playing on sandy beaches, and strange, enchanting music that floated down from tall buildings. Finally, the day came when the Little Mermaid turned 15. With a heart full of anticipation, she kissed her father and sisters goodbye and began her journey to the surface. As she swam upwards, the water grew lighter and lighter until at last, her head broke through the waves and she saw the night sky full of stars for the very first time. She marveled at the sight of a grand sailing ship illuminated by hundreds of twinkling lanterns. Drawn by the beautiful music coming from the ship, she swam closer and peered through a window. Inside, she saw a party in full swing and, in the center of the celebration, a handsome young prince. He was the most charming being she had ever seen, and as she watched him, she felt her heart fill with a new and powerful emotion, love. As the night wore on, the party ended and the guests retired to their cabins. The Little Mermaid reluctantly turned to leave, but just then, a terrible storm erupted. The sky darkened, the sea churned, and the prince's ship was tossed about by the fierce waves. The Little Mermaid watched in horror as the ship was torn apart and the prince was thrown into the sea. Without hesitation, she dived into the raging waters and found the prince, unconscious and sinking fast. She grasped him tightly and swam with all her might towards the shore. By dawn, the storm had passed, and she gently laid him on a soft sandy beach near a small church. Exhausted, she hid behind some rocks and watched as a young girl from the church found the prince and called for help. The prince was carried away, and the Little Mermaid returned to her home beneath the waves, her heart heavy with love and sorrow. Back in the underwater kingdom, the Little Mermaid's family noticed her sadness. She confided in her oldest sister, telling her everything about the prince and her desire to be human. Her sister tried to comfort her, reminding her of the long, happy lives mermaids enjoyed, compared to the short and often sorrowful lives of humans. But the Little Mermaid was inconsolable. She longed to be with the prince, even if it meant giving up her underwater life. Desperate, she decided to seek the help of the Sea Witch, who lived in the darkest part of the ocean. The Sea Witch's lair was a sinister place, guarded by venomous sea snakes and decorated with the bones of unfortunate sailors. Trembling, the Little Mermaid approached the witch and begged for her help. "I know why you've come," the Sea Witch crooned. "You wish to lose your tail and gain human legs to be with your prince. I can grant your wish, but it comes at a high price. Drinking my potion will turn your tail into legs, but every step you take will feel like walking on sharp knives. And remember, once you become human, you can never return to the sea. If the prince marries another, you will die and dissolve into sea foam." "I am willing to pay any price," the Little Mermaid declared bravely. The Sea Witch grinned wickedly. "Very well, but in return I will take your voice. Your beautiful singing voice will be mine forever." The Little Mermaid hesitated, but her love for the prince was stronger than her fear. She agreed to the witch's terms, and the Sea Witch handed her a small bottle of potion. As the Little Mermaid drank it, she felt a sharp pain, and her tail split into 2 legs. The Sea Witch had taken her tongue, rendering her mute. The next morning, the prince's servants found a beautiful, voiceless young woman on the beach. They brought her to the palace, where she was dressed in fine clothes and treated with great kindness. Although she could not speak, Her grace and beauty soon made her the prince's favorite companion. He took her everywhere, and she felt a deep joy just being near him. However, the prince confided in her that he could not marry her, for his heart belonged to the girl who had saved him from drowning, the very girl he believed to be the daughter of a visiting king. The Little Mermaid's heart ached, but she could not reveal the truth. The visiting king's daughter arrived at the palace, and the prince recognized her immediately as the girl he had been searching for. He asked her to marry him, and preparations for the wedding began at once. The Little Mermaid was heartbroken, knowing that the prince loved another and that her own life would end the day after their wedding. On the night before the wedding, the Little Mermaid sat by the shore, tears streaming down her face. Suddenly, her 5 sisters appeared, their long hair cut short. They had given their hair to the sea witch in exchange for a magic knife. "Take this knife," her oldest sister said, "and kill the prince. When his blood touches your feet, they will turn back into a tail, and you can return to us." The Little Mermaid took the knife and crept into the prince's bedroom. She stood over him, holding the knife, but she could not bring herself to harm him. She loved him too much. Instead, she threw the knife into the sea and waited for dawn. As the first rays of the sun touched the water, she felt herself dissolving into foam. Her last thoughts were of the prince and her love for him. But the Little Mermaid did not vanish entirely. Her selfless act of love had earned her a place among the spirits of the air. These benevolent beings, who traveled the world doing good deeds, took her into their fold. The spirits of the air told her that she could earn a human soul by performing good deeds for 300 years. The Little Mermaid, now a spirit, felt a new sense of purpose. Though she could no longer be with the prince, she found joy in helping others and spreading kindness. Years passed, and the Little Mermaid watched over the prince from afar. She saw him grow old and wise, ruling his kingdom with fairness and love. She also saw his children and grandchildren and felt a deep, bittersweet joy in knowing that his line continued. The Little Mermaid continued her good deeds, earning the love and respect of her fellow spirits. Her heart was full of love, not just for the prince, but for all living creatures. And as the years went by, she came to understand that her sacrifice had given her a life far richer and more meaningful than she could have ever imagined. In time, the Little Mermaid's 300 years of service came to an end. She was granted a human soul and ascended to a higher realm of existence, where she would live on in peace and happiness for all eternity. And though she was far from the prince, she carried his memory in her heart, a testament to the enduring power of love and selflessness. And so, the Little Mermaid's tale became a legend, told by the mer people and the spirits of the air, inspiring generations to come with her bravery, her love, and her ultimate sacrifice. If you like this story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.